A spectacular performance. Curry from half court. Sometimes, something looks like it's been there a while.
We are here, the 3 Points podcast, after the last three games. We just played the Hawks on the 20th, the Pelicans on the 22nd, and then the Spurs yesterday on the 23rd. After these three games, we are 2-1. In this 3 game stretch, we are the first seed in the Western Conference. So shout out, we're still thriving, we're still doing our thing. We're gonna go chronological order. You guys know the drill. We've been consistent. We're out here, weekly episodes. We're not missing a beat. So let's just dive straight into the Hawks versus Warriors. Last episode, I started off with passing the rock to Thomas. This time, I'm gonna pass the rock to Wesley.
Oh, sweet.
Actually, wait, no, I take that back. You should do the Spurs game
Piece of
because
shit.
bro said, sweet. Bro said, oh, sweet. And then I proceeded to take it away from him. No, you should do the Spurs because that's the only game you watched. Thomas and I.
We all watched all the games. What do you mean?
Correct. On paper, we all did. But hypothetically, in the Spurs game, I was at a dinner. I was eating beef brisket, no big deal, with some friends. And I had the game on in the background. And obviously, the fans probably know we lost. But I was just kind of glancing in and out. And I thought, oh, we have a lead. Nice and easy. And then we lost. So, anyway, you watched that. So I think you should do that. Thomas or myself could take the Hawks. And we got to pass the rock to Thomas. Go ahead, Thomas. Hawks versus the Warriors.
This was a game. It was a type of game that's become very common to the Warriors this season, which is a blowout. The Warriors were up by 20 points at the end of the first quarter, and it basically never got closer than that. So, shout out, right? Like we killed it. Basically, everybody had a good game. Wiggins had, I think, 27, and he's kind of been on a super hot stretch, which is nice to see after how much he's struggled over the past few years, not just like the past month, but we're talking years at this point, and he hasn't looked like this. I think I said in the chat, this is the best he's looked since basically the finals of 2022, which I think is pretty accurate to say. He's shooting consistently from three now, which is something he hasn't done for a while. He's attacking in isolation, which is something he hasn't done for a while. And he's always even when he's really been struggling, he's had that kind of that lockup mentality on defense, but he's continued to have that while kind of being back on offense. So that's really nice to see. And then other than that, Kerr did his thing. I'm looking at the stats. Trace had 14. Hield had 11. Classic Warriors blowout. We locked Trae Young, fuck up. He had, what did he have, 12?
14 points.
On 4-12.
Oh, 12 points.
Yeah, he only had 12. And I remember watching the game, we had forced him into a lot of really tough, ugly-looking shots, and he wasn't hitting them. And then, if you look at the Hawks box score, basically every player on their team shot under 50%. So we just kind of locked their whole team up. So it was nice to see.
Yeah, I will take it from there. Overall, great team play. Exactly what Thomas said. We've been a privilege to watch a Warriors team that's playing really well overall, top to bottom, 1-12. Like Thomas said, I'm just going to spit out some stats again. He did miss some players. Wiggins, 27 points. He said 7 rebounds, 4 assists. Steph, for a Steph standard, okay game. And in fact, actually, in this stretch, Steph has been okay in these 3 games. He hasn't been super duper great. Against the Hawks, he had 23. Against the Pelicans, he had 19. And then against the Spurs, with his worst game, he had 14. 3 of 10 from downtown. But moving swiftly on, he did have great 8 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. Those hands are flying. TJD, 14 points, 11 rebounds, double-double. You love to see it. Lindy Waters doing his thing as a shooter, 10 points. And Draymond Green with the most Draymond Green stat, 9 points, 9 assists, 7 rebounds, 2 blocks, and 1 steal. Like I said earlier, we did have a great depth, great overall team performance. But Kuminga, Pod, Moody, a little bit weak offensively. Kuminga only had 10 points, 2 assists, and Pod's 3 points and 2 assists. So kind of unfortunate. I think Moody, if I'm not mistaken, only had 3 points or something like that. So kind of disappointing. Our 3 youngsters, our 3 youth, not doing super hot. Another bad free throw percentage game, 66.7%. But other than that, it was a pretty boring, cut and dry game. We went out there, we dominated. Everyone was doing their thing. The Hawks really struggled from the field, 33% from field goal, 26% from three. And although Trey didn't really score much, he was dishing it out, 11 assists, so double-double. Shout out him. But yeah, we did a great job locking him up. Last but not least, Wes.
Yeah, you guys highlighted basically everything that was key to the game. I think like big picture wise, it's pretty important that that Andrew Wiggins is like he's capable of being like that number 2 on a championship team, which like he's kind of getting back to that's kind of that stage where like Steph we were able to like comfortably win this game against like an all right team, and Wiggins was our best offensive player in my opinion. Like Steph kind of took the back seat to Wiggins, who was having a pretty solid night, and then he had another solid night, I think, a day or two later against who's the other team we played? The Pelicans. He had another really good game, which is it's just kind of like nice that Steph doesn't have to carry that like huge like offensive burden. Like I know like a lot of players are capable, but like Steph at this age, I don't think he's like capable of like consistently being that number one guy. But it's like super nice that Wiggins is able to kind of like be a solid option offensively, and he attacks in different ways. Like he's not just like perimeter shooter, even though he does have that kind of in his bag. He's able to like impose himself inside where like barely anybody can really guard him unless they have to foul him. So he's just kind of when he's aggressive and he's hitting his shots, he brings like a different dynamic than we're kind of accustomed to. But I mean, yeah, you guys said like good team win. Nobody had like a superstar performance other than like Wiggins by his standards, but it was just like a solid like all around kind of effort by the team, I think.
Absolutely. I think there was nothing more to it. Then immediately after that, 2 days later, we played the Pelicans for the NBA Cup group stage. I'm going to just dive straight into this one. Good news for us Warriors fans. We're the first team to qualify for the NBA Cup quarterfinals, baby. You love to see it. All of a sudden, the legitimacy of this cup is kind of increasing. I mean, if the Warriors could win on the 17th of December, man, NBA Cup. It's the greatest addition to the NBA. But first team to make it to quarterfinals, us beating the Pels, and then the Nuggets losing to the Mavs. Shout out the Mavs. Got the job done for us. Another thing that I guess maybe I remembered or I just forgot about is that these NBA Cup games, up until I believe the semifinals, count for your regular season record. So us winning these, us being 3-0 in the NBA Cup, not a small thing. And I really like that addition because it kind of adds a little bit of intensity more, not only the NBA Cup, but hey, it still counts for the regular season. So lock in. It's for the playoffs as well. So I really like that. As I mentioned for a little bit ago, kind of another okay game from Steph scoring wise, only 19 points. However, 7 assists. So dishing out, he's passing the rock. We've been giving flowers to Wiggins. Let's give him some more. 30 points, a steal, and a block. This was him. He was the number one option this game. He's the one who kept us in it at periods where, we couldn't score. Like in the third quarter, there was like I believe a 3-minute drought, and his performance huge because we were many a time in a similar situation like this last season, and guess what? Wiggins was not performing as he is this season, and if Steph stopped playing, then last season Clay was very inconsistent. We were going to most likely lose. Good bench production as we've been having the entire season. 12 points from Hield, 11 from Pods, 7 from Kuminga, 4 from Looney, 2 from Anderson, 4 from Payton, 2 from Moody. So everyone was eating. Although I will say Pods had 11, which is nice, but he was 0-5 from downtown. What has happened to his 3? No one knows. It's missing. It's really unfortunate. We really, really want to push through this tough stretch. We got faith in you, Pods. Moody with another kind of underwhelming performance. A little bit disappointing. 2 points. And honestly, Kuminga as well. 7 points. It's kind of disappointing to see that from someone who we were like, yo, we need this guy to be quote unquote a number 2 option. But Wiggins has kind of stepped up and taken that role. Knock on wood. Hopefully continue for the season. So Kuminga could take a step back, but come on, Kuminga. I still think we need like a 12 to 14 point production from him. I think that's a very fair thing to ask. You're a third year, fourth year player, so We need that for sure. Thomas just smiled. You were laughing a little bit. Why don't you
No,
let the fans I know?
No, I was just laughing about because I all of a sudden remembered when we got into like a super intense argument about whether he was going to average, was it like 12 versus 16 points in a season? And we went on for like 20 minutes about that. Just
This was last
I just
season.
thinking about how dumb that was. That was literally last season.
This is before we took constructive criticism from our fans, and they told us, "Hey, man, shorten the episodes." Some people said do
literally.
3 minute. Some people said do 3 minute episodes. So we're working.
Those people kind of sound like haters, honestly. 3 minutes.
They said it would be really good for the fans. So how do we feel about that?
We're getting shorts out. We're going to be getting
song.
shorts out. Yeah.
It would just be what?
It would just be a song. That would just be it. It's the intro, and then boom, you're done.
Anyways. So this was one of the few games where we had solid free throw percentage. 22 of 29, 76%. It was a very close game till the end. Now imagine we had our usual free throw percentage. We were like, 50 to 60 something percent. Bro, you miss like 5-6 more points. We lose that game. We lose that game without a shadow of a doubt. And the reason why I say we would lose that game is because it was a very close game until the last minute. The Pels were in a very similar situation. They all played really well. Started from the bench. The 24 points, Trey Murphy, 18 BI, 15 Javante Green, 19 Jeremiah Robinson, 16 Brandon Boston Jr. It was a great performance by them as a team. And this is a great win for the Warriors because what did it show? That, hey, if the other team is playing well, which they were, and let's say Steph is not playing super hot, we can still go out there and win a game. It was a super out of control end of the game. How did we feel about that? I'm going to let you guys kind of talk about the end of the game. Wes, pass the rock to you. Went really deep into the game overall. So I want to give that to you.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you said, free throws were like huge in this game, and like if we miss like 5 more, then we potentially lose this game. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell like how it'll all shake out, but yeah, free throws were like crucial in this game. And I think like again, harping on Wiggins, like he was 9 for 9, and he's one of those guys like Kuminga who gets to the line a lot. Except Wiggins has been making his free throws, and that's kind of like one of the bigger differences between him being like just kind of like a role player essentially, and being like it's kind of like a guy who can like impose himself on the game like he has been past few games. So he's definitely like the bigger like storyline, I think, with our recent wins, I think. But I don't know, the Pelicans are kind of like out of everyone, like everybody's injured, so I don't want to like hold this win like too high because like CJ's injured, Zion's injured. Who's there? Not Trey Murphy. Can't think of
Herb Jones.
Yeah, Herb Jones is injured.
And you already said DeJounte Murray, right?
No, I didn't. I said
and
CJ
Jose Alvarado.
Yeah, so Mr. Puerto Rico is injured, so they got everybody out. So I don't want to like hold this win like too high, but like it's still like we saw like good stuff from certain guys like Wiggins, for example, of course, Steph, of course. So yeah, I don't want to hold this too high, but it's a solid win in the clutch
for sure.
I don't know. I kind of don't think this was a solid win. It was kind of embarrassing. They gave Daniel Tice 18 minutes. They gave Brandon Boston Jr. Do you guys know who Brandon Boston Jr. is?
He popped off.
I don't. They gave him 34 minutes. I mean, who else to see? I mean, Javante Green 19 minutes. Like this is a G League team. We beat by what? 4 points. And I mean, down the stretch, I think Draymond missed 2 free throws in a row in the clutch.
Oh, yeah. So did
that was
BI.
pretty rough.
I remember that. That was crazy.
BI kind of got made up for because he missed 2 of his own. I mean, I guess Draymond did make up for it because then he made his first free throw, missed and got his own rebound, which is like classic vintage Draymond. It's just literally like the definition of who he is as a player. And then other than that, like our defense down the stretch was pretty rough. We were letting some of the again, these are like role players at best. I mean, G Leaguers at worst, and they were kind of cooking us. I'm trying to think. There was a couple of plays I remember. I think Trey Murphy hit a 3 and with 14 seconds left, it was basically wide open because we had poor rotations. I don't know. It felt very sloppy down the stretch of this game. And after the game, I know Steve Kerr said this is the kind of game that you feel lucky to win and just kind of you run, you escape with the win. And I kind of agree with him. Like this is, I guess it was kind of to look ahead a little bit. It was a sign of things to come against the Spurs because the next game. I mean, that Spurs team is probably just about as bad. I mean, I guess maybe with the exception of Wemby, they're about as bad as this it's Pelicans team that they were running at, and we lost to them. So I don't know. I didn't think this was a great one. I'll say that.
I think let's talk about it for a moment because I definitely get where you're coming from. The fourth quarter was, I think, where that kind of downhill game started, right? And I think that momentum, that downhill momentum of the fourth quarter, continued to the Spurs game, which is why we kind of like sold it, surprise, surprise, in that fourth quarter as well. So, but what do I mean by? I personally thought it was a good win for the team. Why? Not because of that fourth quarter performance. That was just out of control. That was very embarrassing. I definitely agree with that. However, good offense is good offense, right? So if a group of guys are playing really well, right, and you're able to still maintain your composure, do your thing, go on the your offensive end, and then score, and keep us in the game and go out to win the game. That's a good sign. Now, another point to that is if a common trend for the season had been like we go out there and we're just letting every bum cook us. Random bros are just cooking us, and we cannot get a stop to save our lives, and our defense has been horrible this season. Then I get it. That's like a red flag. Like, wait, dude, everyone plays really well against us. However, that's not been the case. Our defense has been really solid. It's been really respectable. At least in the beginning, we were like top 5 or something like that. I don't know where we are currently, but from the visual eye test,
5.
there you go. And that matches with my visual eye test because it seems like we're still doing well. So I don't want to discredit us just because, like you're saying, like at best role players that were G leaguers kind of came out and hooped. They were hitting their shots, man. Like in this day and age of the NBA, good even like role players can go hot and just start shooting threes and hit crazy shots. You know what I mean? So you cannot. I don't think we could discredit the Warriors for that. However, yeah, the fourth quarter was horrible. That was embarrassing. And yeah, we kind of escaped with that win. It was kind of like how the Clippers went out against us. They kind of escaped with that win. This was like the reverse of that. We were really sloppy and we escaped. Wes, you want to add anything to this?
I mean, I would say we did definitely like kind of escape because it is a bad team, and we kind of played down to our talent, kind of like with the Spurs a little bit. Like obviously Wemby's a good player, but we kind of played down to our talent. They were like a little fatigued, so we kind of not bums, but like hot shooters got hot against us, and they kind of made it closer than it probably should have been. But we still got out with a win, so I'm not gonna harp too much on it. But yeah.
I think let's just move on to the Spurs then. We played literally a day later. So no rest for the boys. They just went straight there. We were away, right? So we were home against the Hawks, and then we were away against the Pelicans, right? We were in New Orleans, and then Spurs. So road trip. Wes, you're the man. You watched the game more than both of us. So go ahead.
Yeah, I think like initially before the game, Fitz and Buki, like the local broadcasters, they were kind of talking about how much lack of sleep they kind of got. I don't want to use that as like an excuse or anything, but like it was like one of the first like serious back-to-back, like first time we were away from home for both of the games, and then playing in New Orleans, flying to San Antonio the next day and playing that night. So it's definitely kind of, I don't want to pin it on like lack of sleep, but they definitely felt like initially, like in the first 3 quarters, they were kind of like destroying the competition as they should because we are the better team than the Spurs. But then I don't know, like Steph kind of got lost in the mojo, and then like that kind of just like trickled down to the rest of the people. Like Wiggins couldn't hit a shot, Moody couldn't hit a shot, Pajemski has been struggling, and then he couldn't hit a shot, so nobody was really getting it going. And then the Spurs, like led by Stephon Castle, I know like Thomas like hyped him up in the chat. Stephon Castle had like an incredible game. He was like cooking us. Wemby, of course, like there was a lid on the basket. Like nobody, we were like scared of like driving downhill, even when we were like we kind of got into the paint. We were still kind of scared of putting a shot up for fear of like getting blocked. And I know like Wiggins was still like pretty aggressive, but his 3-point shot was not as strong as it was in the previous 2 games, so that was kind of unfortunate. But Wemby, just like in the clutch, when we nobody really had anything going, Wemby was just kind of like dishing it out because we had a double, and then getting the open guys open, like Harrison Barnes cutting a few times, Stephon Castle, of course, scoring in isolation. I don't know. It's definitely like unfortunate that we had the lead and then it just kind of like slowly, like in the final like 6 minutes of the fourth quarter, we just kind of like lost it, couldn't score, and they just like basket after basket, and they just kind of like slowly came back on us. I don't know. It's kind of I know like I'm pretty sure it was this game, but there was a few like one of the bright spots was that Trace I forget what the play is called, but like he was slipping to the basket a bunch and he got a couple he's very I love his role on this team. Like he knows how to like intelligently like pass the ball around the basket. It's like him and Looney kind of have that same mindset of like knowing when to slip because of our shooters and then when to like set screens and all that. So it's really cool that he kind of popped off this game, but yeah, it was an unfortunate collapse in the fourth quarter. That's all. I think that's gonna be the story of the game is that we had the lead at 17 at one point, I think, and then I guess like no lead is safe today, so we just kind of let go of the rope. But yeah, that's all I got to say about it.
Thomas, your opinion, your take.
I literally basically, I mean, I had the game on, but like I just was not paying attention. I was doing work, and then all of a sudden I realized it was like I looked up and it was like 88-90, and I was like, what the? This was literally a 17-point game, like Wes said. And all of a sudden I was like glued to the screen, and I got to watch the Spurs just drill 3 after 3, and the Warriors miss 3 after 3. And I think it is in the modern NBA that is just sometimes the way it goes. It wasn't like the Warriors were getting the highest quality shots, but it was also just a very cold night, and it came at the exact wrong time. I shouldn't say cold night, but it was a cold last 5 minutes, and it came at the wrong time because it was right as the Spurs were going on a run. And I mean, that one sequence where you have back to back. So Wemby, he comes off like a screen, like probably like 26 feet out, on an inbounds play, and he just pulls up like, immediately after getting the catch and just drills a 3. And like that's what are you going to do about that? I mean, he's 7'4". You can't. It's like you can get out to him and contest. It's 26 feet from the basket. So he hits that, and then Stephon Castle. Oh my god, this dude's a 28% 3-point shooter. I mean, you can see his jumper like on like it doesn't look pretty. It looks pretty ugly, but I think he gets the defensive rebound. It goes all the way in transition, and then just from like 26 feet again, just pulls up and hits a 3. Like, what are you supposed to do about that? But again, that is the modern NBA. Like, guys do that stuff, and then you have to deal with it. And the Warriors couldn't answer. Steph had a couple ugly shots that missed. Wiggins had a contested 3 that missed. And then Wemby was just on defense, was just murdering her. Like he had us looking confused and scared, and he had one just absolutely disgusting block on a shot that I think against anybody else, he probably gets to the backboard, but he just smacked it right up. Like anybody else that's goaltending, but not for him. Because he's just so quick and so tall and so long. Like he's a special player. But yeah, I mean,
you remember who that shot block was against?
Sometimes.
Because I think I remember what play you're talking about. I just can't.
It was.
But I remember the block looked like unreal.
It was Lindy. Yeah, it was Lindy.
Dude, yeah.
When he went up for a layup, and all of a sudden it's just not a layup anymore. It's just packed. It's like, what? It just looks on. Yeah, and when you see it in real time, it doesn't look real. Because like when you're watching a basketball, like, you know what it's supposed to look like when guys are like, rolling to the basket and they have an open layup, and he just completely throws that all off. He just destroys like your perception. I mean, he's different.
Thomas, in the chat, when the game was going on, you had said, "Is Wemby already top 5?" Many people are already saying this. You want to like talk about that a little bit?
I mean, he just looks like it, man. Like when you watch the game, you can feel his impact like on every single facet of the game. Like when he's on, and when I say on, what I mostly mean is when he's hitting some of his shots, because when he looks really bad, it's usually when he's jacking up 3s and they're missing, and then you're like, what? This is the guy that's supposed to be like the future of basketball. He looks like he doesn't know what he's doing. All of a sudden, when he flips that switch and it's like he goes from like 25 to 40% from 3, you cannot do anything because like you can't contest him. It's not possible. You're just not going to do it. He's 7'4", and then if you try to, he somehow at 7'4" has the handle to actually attack the closeout, which is just ridiculous. I mean, there's nobody even close to his size who can reliably attack closeouts, but he can't. And he's such a freak going to the basket. It's also impossible to contest him because he'll just go up over you. Like, and on defense, I mean, we all know the story. He's Wemby. Guys, they will not go up over him. And you can just see that when you watch an offense that's playing against Wemby, it looks very different than other offenses because there's no cutting going to the basket. There's no driving. Like, they're just like, everybody's just like standing around outside, like hoping to try to create a shot on the perimeter. It's weird to watch. So it's like there's only a few guys in the league. It's like you have like your Luka and your Giannis and your like Jokic, where you can just feel like they impact every aspect of the game. Like where you feel like okay, like every single play they're going to be involved in it, and he definitely feels like one of those guys. So I would not be like if I saw somebody say he's top five, I'd be like maybe it's a little bit aggressive, but I wouldn't think that's ridiculous.
Yeah, and it was our misfortune. He had missed 4 games, I think, up till that point. That was his return. He had missed, yeah, from the 16th to 21st, 3 games. So that was his return game against us. Sucks because if he wasn't there for sure, we get that win. But he was there, and hey, it's inevitable. Like you cannot escape it, right? You got to like face the problem head on. Just kind of some last minute inputs from me. Like I said earlier, I was at a dinner, barbecue brisket, bussin', 8.8 out of 10. Shout out Alfat. It was really good. We had the game on the TV, but I was the only dude there who follows sports, unfortunately. So wasn't much
The only
interest in the
man
game. Basically. But the I looked at the game. It was like, oh, okay, it's a comfortable game. Whatever. We went to the different room, and then I came back. I was, oh, let me just peek and check what's going on. And I was like, okay, well, based off the highlights and just kind of going over the stats and stuff. Overall, other than the fourth quarter where it was a collapse, it seemed like a great overall team performance. Other than the stars, I saw a lot of great ball movement, a lot of passing, a lot of dishing, a lot of cutting. Um, that looked really really nice. And what I mean by other than stars, Steph and Dre. Unfortunately, Steph was 14 points, 3 of 10 from downtown, 5 for 16 from the field, and Dre only 1 point, 0 and 5 from the field, and 0 for 3 for downtown. That's really bad because now Dre has become like a consistent offensive piece for us. We rely on his three. We rely on him like kind of getting those layups and all that stuff. So him only scoring 1 point hurts for sure. And as for the rest of the team, Wiggins 20 points. Yeah, is it a cool down from his previous couple games? But 20 points is still very solid. That is second scoring option levels points that we need from him. If he could average 20 points, hey, we're golden. So I'm not going to go too hard on him. It really wasn't his fault. Steph, unfortunately, these three games were kind of rough for him, as I said. TJD 12 points, consistent. Like he is consistently getting 10 plus points now. He's so nice on this team. Exactly what Wes said. Waters and Hield 11 points. Waters, I believe, had 0 points against the Pelicans, so it was nice for him to kind of bounce back. Yeah, he scored on the first possession against the Spurs and kind of kept that momentum going. Hield as well, 11. Looney, 8 points. Looney had some great plays, man. He had some plays where he was just like driving to the rim. He kind of did it. He went around Wemby, I believe, one play. I was like, man.
Mhm.
It is so nice to see him kind of doing his thing, you know. Anderson Moody 6 points and GP2 5. No Jonathan Kuminga, he due to illness. How did we feel about that overall? How do we think that would have impacted the game? Because as we know, he's a heavy attack to the rim guy. When Benyama's there, does that lead to more ugly JK possessions, or does that maybe lead to a dish out for JK? Although he's not that great at dishing it out, but maybe 1 or 2 assists, 3 assists. How did we feel about that overall? Open floor.
I mean, I don't think it would like make a positive impact at all. I mean, like you said, most of his game is centered around like driving to the basket, and he's not that good at dishing it out. Like maybe he evolves to get that kind of feature, but right now he would not. In my opinion, I don't think he would have
I mean,
an
if
impact.
if anything, I think he's the kind of guy you want playing against teams that don't have a good rim protector. That's when he can really cause some problems. But this one be like it's kind of the last guy you want. I mean, what is he going to do? He's going to end up settling for a bunch of bad jumpers that you don't want him to take. So, yeah, I doubt that would have been the magic bullet.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that notion. Another poor free throw percentage game, 61.5%. It's one of those games where
Yeah.
like
It's pretty
we were-
awful. I don't
we
know
were-
what is going on with that. I mean,
Is it Wiggins? Let me see.
I just don't get it. Like, what?
4 or 5.
How does
It's
this?
not really Wiggins.
The year is 2024. Like, teams don't struggle with free throws anymore. Like, it's just not even
I
something that
believe,
happens.
if I'm not mistaken, I think Looney was like 0 for 3 or something like that. So
Yeah,
that kind of did tank the
probably it.
percentage. But regardless, like out of 3 games, we had the first game against the Hawks, 66.7%. Then we had a league average free throw percentage game against the Pelicans. Again, league average is, and we're like hyped about that. We're hyped about a 76% free throw. But again, league average, we can live with that. Then immediately against the Spurs, 61.5%. That's awful, dude. That's the type of stuff that, hey, costs you games, and that may have costed us this game because it comes down to those 3-4 points. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
and our field goal subpar, 38%. And we also got to give a shout out to our ex-Warriors. None of you guys mentioned him. Harrison Barnes,
Paul.
HB.
Oh,
Did you
I
just
didn't
say
say
Chris?
Chris Paul.
Is that what your mind went to, Chris Paul?
yeah.
Like, wow, that's like actually, I'm low-key kind of mad about that. He didn't go to Harrison Barnes, the dude who won a chip with us, and he was on the 73-9 Warriors. Dog, what is wrong with
Chris
you, bro?
Paul's a Warriors legend.
Bro is drinking that Steve Kerr Kool-Aid, dog. He's on that Steve Kerr. We need him, please. We are praying he resigns with us. We are
Need him
willing to
back.
give him.
He's the
So,
missing piece.
shout out Barnes. He had like 20 plus points. He was hitting his shots, just consistent. And yeah, I don't think there's really much to it. Tomorrow, we play against the Nets.
Brooklyn Nets.
The Brooklyn Nets. I'm honestly excited to see the Nets. Cam Thomas, I know he's been hooping. Ben Simmons, Thomas's biggest investment. Like, you know, like Gary Vee, he's like, he didn't invest in Uber, and that's what he talks about. Like, this is Thomas's biggest, like, it's the opposite. He put too much money. He went all into Ben Simmons. It's his biggest career mistake. So maybe Ben Simmons shows out against him. Is Thomas's celebrity crush Ben Simmons is coming? Are we going there, or are we?
That would be like
He's
giving
averaging
alcohol
5, 6, and 6 this season.
Wow.
You tell me another guy in NBA
All-star
history has put up that stat line. You can't. You literally can't.
Zaza Pachulia. What is Zaza average? Can we actually check that? Stats. Let's look at him when he was with the Warriors.
Like a solid 5 and 4.
5 and 2.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He's not
even
what I'm
those
saying.
Those 3 assists.
Those 4 extra assists. That's the difference between Ben Simmons and Zaza Pachulia, baby. But I'm excited to see him. Like I said.
Did you guys see that clip of him going up for that layup and like missing it by literally airballing the layup?
Oh yeah, I saw that.
He
I
put it
did
off the
not.
backboard and it didn't even hit rim.
I did not.
He's back.
Dude, yeah,
Back.
Ben Simmons is genuinely such a unique, like, it's such a, like, yeah, it's so weird, dude. Like, he definitely, like, man, maybe, like, disrespected his parents when he was young or something, you know, like, something, you know, you gotta, he's at full circle, you know what I mean? Although, I mean, he's a 100+ millionaire, so.
Yeah.
But, whatever, anyways, so Cam Thomas, I'm excited to see them. We're coming back to the Chase Center, so it's, and you know, this is a little bit worse than I would say than, like, just being on an extended road trip, because, okay, you're going trip to trip, but now it's like, you're going somewhere, then you're coming back, then you're going back, coming back, you know what I mean? So, back and forth, back and forth. It's a big stretch for the boys. So the next time we're gonna see you guys.
I have a quick question. So
Sure.
it's kind of big picture, but one of the things that, like, I know Hassan was like a big kind of voice for this, and we kind of supported you like last year about like Steve Kerr's like incompetence or competence as a coach. Like, do you think you guys noticed a big difference between last year and this year, or is that? Because I know like last year.
I'm gonna take this. It's the new. I think maybe I was partially a little bit harsh on Kerr because A, our team was struggling overall, and B, he was saying dumb stuff like, oh, Chris Paul and all that. That was really annoying. So maybe I was a little bit harsh on him. However, I think the biggest difference has been the new, I'm going to use the football terms because I forgot the new offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, our offensive head coach and defensive head coach, the 2 new additions we had of them. I think more credit goes to them because Dre was saying for them, like, the new system they're adding and everything has been working really great. So that's what I personally think goes majority of the credit to. Also, partially bit harsh on Kerr. Kerr is solid. Like, I don't want to, like, he just can be annoying at sometimes. That's about it. Thomas, what about you?
I don't know. I also think he's the kind of guy who needs a lot of depth to make his system work because he loves playing his role players extended minutes and he loves playing his starters less minutes than the average coach. It's like that's like his thing. Like that's what he. I mean, if you remember, like in 2015, the big slogan was strength in numbers because it was unusual the way the Dubs did it. Like they had like 4 or 5 bench guys who would come in and give you like 20 minutes a game. Especially back then, like that was the age of like, okay, your starters are going to play 36 minutes no matter what. Like they're just going to be out there. So he kind of that was another little thing he kind of revolutionized in the NBA. But I think it's good. It's really helped him this season having a roster that can actually implement his I guess you call it his unorthodox tendency to play his bench that many minutes. I mean, and obviously, like what he's doing this season is even unusual for his standards, but the fact that he's been able to really lean into it, I think that's been a big advantage for him. And it's kind of covering up. I mean, not covering up, but it's flipping it around because what he was doing that was not working is now he's doing the same thing, and it is working. So,
And just for the fans at home to talk about the new offensive coach and new defensive coach. So the new offensive coach is Terry Stotts. He worked with the Warriors during the 04-05 season.
He was on the Blazers for a while.
He was on the Blazers for a while as well. And then
the fuck just happened?
Yeah, for the fans at home.
My fantasy team is back.
Okay, well, yeah, for the fans at home, that's what happened. What's the score right now for the Eagles to the Rams?
The game is over.
Let's go.
The game is over. I can't believe they actually just gave him a touchdown, but I can't believe they kept him out there. But shout out. I needed
shout
that.
out the Rams losing.
Jerry Stackhouse is the defensive coordinator.
Yes, and he's a former NBA head coach for Vanderbilt 5 years. So, and Draymond said like he's added a fire and level of accountability to us on the defensive end. So I think a lot of credit does go to them as well. Wes, do you want to give your take on that, your opinion on that?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like previously, I think Mike Brown was our previous defensive coordinator, and our defense was like insanely good under him. So it's hard to tell like how much credit you give to the roster just being better versus like these defensive and offensive coordinators doing a pretty solid job. Because Kenny Atkinson, who's now the Cavaliers coach, and they're like 11-1 or whatever. He's obviously a very talented coach, so it's kind of hard to tell like how much credit you give to Terry Stotts versus like Kenny Atkinson, who is obviously very talented. But I think the roster is like I'm gonna give most of the credit to the roster being good, and I do think we were still like pretty harsh on Kerr, but like the days of like Kuminga being our spot up shooter instead of now it's Buddy Hield or Lenny Waters or Moody's obviously even better shooters. So it's kind of I would give more credit to the roster just being better than it was. I mean, but
just to illustrate, because what you're saying is like
Anthony Lamb.
Because what you're saying is like this is bringing back the point I just made. Think about if he had tried to run the system he's running this year, like the last couple of years. Think about the guys who would have been getting like 25 minutes a game. About Corey Joseph. You're talking about Anthony Lamb. You're talking about what's that white guard we had for a while? You're talking about actually Ty Jerome's kind of been. Never mind, I shouldn't say that. He's like cooking on the Cavs. He's balling on the Cavs. But you're talking about Wanamaker. You guys remember Wanamaker?
Well, he was pre-championship. Like who was on the Anthony Lamb team?
You're talking about.
I mean, Chris Paul.
Who else? I mean, literally, you're talking about Chris Paul. Ugh. Disgusting. I can't believe we gave him a win. I can't believe we gave him a win against. It's so fucking disgusting. JaMychal Green, like
Dario Saric.
Exactly. Like so now. He can give 20 minutes to that 8th guy off the bench, and it's not making the fans go like, "Oh my god, oh my god, Kerr, you're so dumb." Like we were the last 2 years, you know. So.
And to me, I don't even think it's just like better shooting, which I think we do have. I think it's also guys that like understand the system a little better. Like there was just like not as much ball movement with guys like Kuminga, and Kuminga's obviously still on the roster, but his role is not as like prominent as it was last year. Like Anthony Lamb, Corey Joseph, Chris Paul, Clay, these guys didn't really move the ball as well as like Buddy Hield, Kyle Anderson, Steph, Draymond, Wiggins, Looney, Trace, Pods. Even though Pods is struggling with his own shot, he knows how to move the ball pretty effectively. Moses Moody is like he's a consistent shooter, so I do in great defense. So he doesn't move the ball as well, but like these guys know how to move the ball like so much better than previous rosters, and it kind of just takes like a few guys to not know how to move the ball, and then just like stagnates everything. Like Chris Paul, when he's out there, he's just gonna want a screen or something, and then like jack up a shot. Or Anthony Lamb doesn't know how to do anything except commit crimes.
You jack up a shot. You mean kick out to a guy in the corner who's already covered and reset the possession with 5 seconds left on the shot clock.
Yeah.
Although I'm gonna chime in real quick. And say. Some of our criticisms, especially like mine, were still valid. One of my biggest qualms was the misuse of DiVincenzo. He left us and he went to the Knicks and he was utilized so much better. We were using him as an offensive rebounder, basically. He was just like a worse version of Josh Hart for us. And that was just that bothers me because when he went to the Knicks, he blew up. Yeah, with the Timberwolves, he's kind of lost his shot a little bit, and sure,
I
maybe.
don't know what's going on with him.
Yeah, maybe it's more that he fit with the Knicks than anything else. But
The Villanova
and the
friendship.
Villanova crew, exactly. So regardless, I think definitely a little bit of being too harsh on Kerr. New depth, great pieces, and then the new offensive head coach and defensive head coach. Now to kind of wind down the episode, we did stretch out a little bit longer than our fans like. Sorry, we went a little bit over the 3 minute mark. But our future stretch for the games are the Nets tomorrow 7 p.m., the Thunder Wednesday 7 p.m., and then the Warriors and the Suns on Saturday. One quick question. Is Durant and Beal going to be there for the Suns game? Because I know they were having some sort of injury problem.
I don't think Katie is. No.
Beal's back on Tuesday. I know that.
Okay.
But
KD, I heard he was out for
is.
like 2-3 weeks. So regardless, 3 games where I expect us to win in the Nets. I expect us to win against the Thunder because they don't have Chet especially, so that rim protection is severely diminished. And I expect us to beat injured Suns as well. This week will be a special in-person episode. You guys are going to be getting it on Saturday. All the boys are back for Thanksgiving. Where are we back? Who knows?
Oh, by the way,
we're-
do you think you could do it Sunday? Because Saturday I'm going to be in Fresno.
No, sorry. Saturday is
Fresno?
final decision.
Yeah. so-
Saturday's final.
Actually, wait, it's probably
Fresno.
not podcast stuff. But anyways,
Fresno.
Anyways,
Wait, what do you mean? Oh, you're driving like 8 hours to Fresno, right?
It's like 3 hours.
yeah, from Denver, Colorado, where we live.
Yeah. Why did you say 3 hours? We're in Denver. Warriors fans in Denver.
We're going to do like a 3-hour radius around Fresno. And we're not even talking about Fresno, California. We're talking about Fresno, West Virginia.
Colorado, right? Oh, West Virginia. Oh, we live. Where do we live now?
Actually, some of us live in West Virginia. That's why. Like,
Well, we don't all live together.
Okay.
actually, what are you doing?
Yeah,
in Fresno?
fair.
What?
That's what I'm saying.
What are you doing? In
like,
Fresno? Oh, okay. It's a second, bro.
If we're
Like,
gonna-
oh my god, it's just a second. What are you doing? In Fresno?
What? Wait. Do you want to just end the podcast and then I can?
Yeah,
No, the fans want to know. I want the fans to know. I want the fans. Sorry, the fans got to know. It's too much.
Just
too
end the
much.
podcast. I'll let you know.
Oh shoot! All right, sorry, fans at home. It's a little bit private talk. Oh, I think I know. Okay, anyways,
Yeah.
we're gonna end the episode.